Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday. It is the 9th day of May, 2025. I hope you're safe and healthy today. Your family's safe and healthy. Happy Friday. And that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health were being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are helping recover those that are victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and those perverts that drive the demands that cause these nasty and evil industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and military veterans homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. I want to discuss why the Celtics lost the 2 games to the Knicks and what will happen tomorrow if they don't make certain adjustments. There are oftentimes a play in any game, especially a playoff game or a championship series, that is indicative of the entire game or the entire series. So, for example, Mikal Bridges snatching the ball out of Jalen Brown's hands on the last play of the game 1 was indicative of how the Knicks took the game out of the hands of Boston. Mikal Bridges blocking what appeared to be a pass, could have been at first a shot. I think he was trying to shoot the ball at first. And when he realized that both OG and Mitch Rob behind him had that shot covered, he was trying to pass. And Mikal was right there to say, no, I'm taking it. And the game is over. That was indicative. But the important play was actually the play before. The Boston Celtics had the ball with 27 seconds left in the game. A basket puts them up by 1. And Jason Tatum had the ball in his hands. Now, think about that. You're down 1. There's 27 seconds left and you have the ball. You know you want to make sure you get a good shot and you want to leave as little bit of time on the clock as possible. So in that scenario, if there's 27 seconds left in the game, you want to use most of that 24 seconds and get it down to close to 3 seconds as you can. Now that gives the Knicks the ball with 3 seconds left, but it reduces the chance that they can get a basket because 3 seconds is a long time, but in a sense it's not, right? It goes by real fast. But instead, what Tatum did is he busted it down the middle of the court and dunked, right? And left the Knicks, I think he left them with 18 seconds left in the game and down by 1. Okay, which we know Brunson ended up creating a foul, going to the basket, taking the 2 shots, and Knicks went up 1. Then there was, at that point, once that happened, when Jalen Brunson made his shot, there was about 3 seconds left. And they came down the floor, and we know what happened. But 2 problems with Jason Tatum's points, the 2 points he scored. Number 1, he didn't use up any clock. Okay, he didn't use up any clock. He just came sprinting down as if there were 3 seconds left and dunked the ball. That showed me that both Mazzula and Tatum, Mazzula wasn't coaching right, and Tatum was panicked. See, this is the problem. Under that pressure, Tatum panicked. We're talking about Captain Clutch, New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson. Under pressure, him, Hart, and the crew, they don't panic. They're focused on the task at hand, all the way to the final buzzer. And that is where, for example, that's why Detroit was so tough. Detroit would never panic. No matter what happened in that series, they did not panic. Bickerstaff was all on the game. He was trying their best to strategize against Thibs. They were in that all the way to the end. They never panicked. What caused one of the problems that caused their demise was lack of playoff experience. For example, in at least 2 games where the Knicks won, Jalen Brunson had a tip and had a chance to get Detroit a possession late in the game, and he slammed the ball hard and went out of bounds twice. So that's just lack of experience on a young player. It wasn't because they panicked. It was because lack of experience. Boston is defending champ. Their whole unit, their whole rotation is experienced NBA players. Why would they panic? I don't know why, but they did, which is why the title of yesterday's video was Testicular Fortitude. Testicular Fortitude doesn't panic. It gets bolder when the times get tough, right? So, and they panicked, Boston did, the first game as well. They started panicking during the course of the Knicks coming back from 20 down in the first game. They did the second game too, but first game you saw the look in their faces. There was panic. They didn't know how to handle the Knicks coming back. They didn't set and focus and be polished to close out the game. Okay? And Jalen Brunson and the crew and McCall, they was focused on the task at hand, which is why in the second game, McCall ends up with 14 in the fourth. He didn't score the rest of the game. But when it came down to crunch time, the focus got narrow, the vision got straight, and they was coming. Okay? And you can expect that from the Knicks every time. This is what the blessing is of having a Tom Thibodeau coach. He ain't going to panic. He knows exactly what he's doing at the end. A lot of people love the second guess that don't know what the hell they talking about. And why didn't he do this and why didn't he do that? No, what he did was what he needed to do. Okay? He's been here. He knows what he's doing. Mazzula is still a very young coach. Yes, he's had a lot of success, but look at the team he got. Okay? It's like Pat Riley was a young coach when he took over with Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the Lakers. Okay? He was a young coach. Okay? And he had generational talent on his team. And that's why they won 5 chips in the 80s. Okay? He learned during the course of that dynasty. And by the time he left there and came to the Knicks, he was a polished, knowledgeable, experienced championship coach, which is what you see in Miami with the culture and championship pedigree they have. This year notwithstanding, but that's the history. So with Mazzula, he's young. He was very fortunate to come into the Celtics after Udoka left and take this job. I'm not saying he's not talented. He is. But there's such a thing as inexperience in coaching as well. And this is the situation that will try a team. It's situations like this where a team builds the character to believe, and that's a big thing in the playoffs, believing you can do it. The Toronto Raptors, when they had Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, they believed they could win. That one shot that beat Philly in the Eastern Conference Finals, that was a moment where, as a team, they said, okay, we could get this. What you're seeing from the Knicks is that same mentality. We could get this. Okay? Belief is very important. So you got to have the health, which the Knicks have. You got to have the talent, which obviously the Knicks have. You got to have the organization, solid. Everybody believing in each other. Everybody on the same page, from James Dolan down to Tom Thibodeau and the 12th man on the bench. Everybody on the same page. You got to have all that. But you got to have something that solidifies you, that lets you know as an organization, as a unit, shoot, we might be able to win this. That's where the Knicks are now. And Boston is panicking. And anybody saying the pressure's on the Knicks is full of crap. The pressure's on Boston. They got to learn to settle and come out focused and ready to ball. The problem is the first 2 games, they thought, it's like Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson was first a pro, when he became a pro, and then eventually he reached Burbick to win the championship. He was a guy that would bob, weave, move. He was very proud of his defense, about how he could get close to a guy and not get hit. But after the post Mike Tyson, after that, he started partying and getting into stuff and not training as hard. He would go into the ring and try to intimidate his opponent and then throw haymakers at the opponent and hope that the opponent would fall. And a few of them did, just barely get hit and just fall to get that check. But that would be the end of the fight. He didn't have to work 15 rounds like he did against Evander Holyfield. He didn't have to work that whole fight and use his skills to win. He was used to just coming in and throwing the punch and intimidating. That's what Boston is doing. They come in, they shoot threes, they're going nuts, and they're trying to intimidate, right? And Jalen Brown scored one time, and it was cursing and hopping the crowd, and it was like, we gonna get this. But then methodically, the Knicks came back, and that's what it was. It was a methodical comeback, bit by bit, brick by brick, possession by possession. And Boston, once they realized what was happening in that second game, they really panicked. And the panic, you can never win in panic. You can't. When you're tense and you can't think straight, it's hard to win. Hard to win. So coming back to the Garden, they have to, that is Boston, has to be polished, professional, and calm, and focused. That ain't going to change how the Knicks are. The Knicks are already going to be that way, okay? So the Knicks are not going to panic. They just not. So Boston has to meet that professionalism, toughness, and polish that the Knicks have. Boston has just shown us they panic. If they're not knocking you out by 20, they could lose. They just showed you that. Now it's possible for them to come back and be polished and be methodical and come and play their basketball game and make it tough on the Knicks tomorrow. They could do that. But if they don't, this series is over in 5 on the outside. It could be over in 4. They have to change their mindset. And from what I was listening to, when I listened to Tatum, I listened to Brown, I listened to Mazzula, none of them were giving the Knicks credit in terms of, yes, they just beat us. No, it was always we beat ourselves. And all the media, they just couldn't hit shots. No, it's attitude. And that shows the attitude. It's attitude. Listen to the Knicks. We're not fit. They asked Mitchell Rob, we're not fit. Carl, what does it feel to be up 2-0? We just 2 up. We got business to do. That's polished. That's professional. That's focused. You see Jalen Brunson, he sits at the podium when he's talking. He's focused. You would never know they were up 2 up looking at their body language, and you don't know that. But it's not because they scared. It's because they totally laser-like focused on getting this business done. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. Boston panics. So if the Knicks were to go up 20 on Boston, let's say they went up 20, at the half like Boston did on them, and in the third quarter, when it gets to the fourth quarter and they still down double digits, they're going to panic. Or we're going to see a change. But once they start panicking, that's when they can't hit shots. That's when everything's out of control. Okay? So it's going to be very interesting to see this game tomorrow, how they respond. Because the Knicks are constant. They're the constant. They're not going to change. Right? They may make mistakes. They might do, but they're going at the end of the game, by the time it's crunch time, they're going to be focused. You're never going to see this Knicks team under Tom Thibodeau give up, panic, act stupid. No. They're going to be focused on the situation at hand. Okay? And they're going to believe they could do it. And that's what this 2-game lead means. They now believe they could beat the Celtics. And I mean, they feel it. They're saying, wait, we could beat these guys. See, that's when your team is very dangerous. You gave them hope. The Celtics just gave them hope. Say, wait, we just beat them coming down by 20 in 2 games. We didn't play our best. We could beat these guys. Well, see, brethren, I've been saying this all along, haven't I? When Mitch Rob gets back and we get a full contingent, healthy, We could play with anybody. I'm not worried about Boston. Remember that? And everybody was like, see, Boston's better. Yeah, Boston was better. But Thibodeau teams play their best as the season goes on. See? Not in December, not in November, not even in January. They play their best in April and May when you want them playing their best. The only difference in seasons past, Juju was hurt, Mitch Rob was hurt, or OG was hurt, or Brunson hurt. Somebody was hurt, and that messed up the flow, right? Not this year, though. No. Mm-mm. They saved Mitch Rob. And, let me tell you something. Did you see, I told y'all yesterday, did you see Mitch Rob guard Tatum? Do you know why? Because Mitch Rob could guard any five on the floor. He can guard 1 through 5. I don't care who it is. Pritchard thought he might have had a mismatch or White with Mitch Rob. He found out different. Yeah, he fat-folk. Look, let me tell you who could not do that, who could not guard Tatum in open space. Walker Kessler. Remember him? I tell you else who could not guard Tatum in open space. Miles, It's Raining Men Turner. Remember him? All these people whining, asking for us to get them instead of our boy. What? Mitch Rob could do it, though. They asked Thibs, when did you realize he could do that? See, Thibs said 4 years ago. You know why? Because the rest of y'all was tripping with all that stupidness in the media. We all knew, those of us that was real knew. We have something. We got a championship piece with Mitchell Robinson. Now everybody sees it, right? Is what it is. But Boston got to come correct in terms of attitude tomorrow. They're going to be all confident when they come in. And actually, the Knicks fans going to help them stay focused when they start booing them. Just like Celtics fans help the Knicks stay focused when they start booing them. But we're going to see what happens when it comes to crunch time, if they've learned their lesson or not. Because, brethren, if they go down 3-0, the series is over. It's over, okay? So they got to win. The pressure's on them. It ain't on the Knicks. It's on them. Right now, there's 5 games left in the series. Listen to this now. The Knicks have to go 2-3 to win the series. So there's 5 games left in the series. The Knicks are up 2-0. All they got to do is go 2-3 over the next 5 games, and the series is over. Do you think the Knicks could beat the Celtics 2 out of 5? And don't let them do better than that. See? So that's what I'm saying. We in a good spot. We in a good spot because the Thibs coach team has testicular fortitude. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game. We'll talk. Shalom.